Ladies and gentlemen, what the world has been waiting for, what the world needs now, the one, the only amazing original, Johnny Blaze. Often imitated, but never duplicated. There's Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the original Johnny Blaze Show. It's great to be here as I blaze right in with my karate kick. Let's have a blazing hot fun time. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been waiting patiently for my next stimulus check to arrive. Today I received a letter from the IRS. It said, do not pass go, do not collect $1,400. Please enjoy this gift card for a stuffed crust meat lover's pizza. The last stimulus check was $600. I remember that because the first things I said to myself after checking my balance that day was, wow, I can buy 600 lotto tickets or 600 mini tacos today. Actually, I spent my money on a nice lunch. I invited my lawyer, my landlord, and my ex-wife. After we ate, I threw the stimulus check on the table and said, you three fight it out amongst yourselves. This morning, I accidentally changed the GPS voice to male, and now it says, it's around here somewhere, keep driving. My new password is Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Huey, Louie, Dewey, Donald, Goofy, Sacramento. They said a password should be at least 8 characters long and include a capital. I told my girlfriend she drew her eyebrows too high. She seemed surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a blazing hot, very exciting show with a special guest. She's an award-winning actress, producer, director, writer, and a disability advocate and speaker. So please give a big, warm welcome to the one and only Eileen Grubba.
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing? You're looking beautiful.
Oh,
Such a nice, warm, lovely smile there, Eileen.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's say, Eileen, I want to hear your amazing, fabulous, spectacular story about yourself, your complete background and how you got started in entertainment and where you're from. I want to hear it all, Eileen. That's
Okay, how did I start in entertainment? Well, I guess I was always an outgoing child. When I was a little girl, I was in a wheelchair for a few years because of paralysis. And at that time, my mom brought me lots of art supplies. So I started becoming an artist at that time and winning awards for my artwork. And so next steps for me were building little puppets, hand puppets, and doing puppet shows. So I guess that's how I started doing shows and stories. And, later in life, I was a cheerleader. Of course, years after I got out of my wheelchair and all that, but I was a cheerleader, and that's also entertainment in some way or another. And I won an art scholarship for college. And then from there, I was going to go into fashion, but life kind of took a turn, and I've always remained open to what seems to come at me. So I had moved to Atlanta, and I was still a young girl and just coming out of college, and somebody asked me to do modeling for wedding photos, like wedding gowns and stuff. So I did some modeling, and then another person approached me to do some modeling, and because of the uncomfortableness of that particular shoot, I decided that I was not going to work in an industry that I didn't know. So I started studying, and I started taking classes in town in Atlanta, and then I took classes at Alliance Theater School. I started working for a casting director. So that's how it all started. I was also doing community theater at the time. I was a part of my church choir, and we did big musicals, huge crowds. And so I started doing musicals, and I played Cinderella, and I played all kinds of different fun characters on the stage. And then and worked in casting while I was learning about the industry. And that was also when I first started having multiple leg rebuilds on my left ankle and foot, and had to do that because, I was in a wheelchair in the years you're growing the most. And so all those years of cheerleading and jumping and all the things I did after, a lot of damage was happening. So I had to start having my feet rebuilt. And so I was working in casting, doing musicals in Atlanta and getting my leg rebuilt and going to classes at the theater and in a wheelchair and having to, you know, climb up onto a stage and drag myself across it because, you know, stages were not accessible in those years. And I just kept training while I was rehabilitating my leg. And about 2 years into my time in the industry, in Atlanta, I had kind of outgrown the town, and then I moved to New York City, and that's where the real fun began. And it's where I learned to start to put my life experience into my work. And it went on from there. I was in New York a couple of years. It was really hard for me because of the walking aspect of it. And it's not an easy town for somebody who has a walking challenge. So I ended up taking off and going to Los Angeles. So that's where it all began. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's very thorough. Yeah. And so Los Angeles. Now you got involved in the actor studio, right? Didn't you meet quite a few people there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, early on in my time in in Los Angeles, I was actually on the wait list to audition for the Actors Studio in New York City. And when I was new to New York City, you know, I did a lot of studying, I did a lot of learning, and I was in awe of the Actors Studio. I used to walk by their building on 44th Street in New York and just look at all the people going in and out, and I'm like, oh, I want to be in the Actors Studio one day. And I remember a girl when I was in my first month in New York City telling her that was part of my goal. I'm gonna get an agent and I'm gonna get into the Actors Studio, and this was my game plan. And I was young, I was in my mid-20s, and I remember her response was, oh, you'll never get into the Actors Studio and you'll never get an agent, not in this town. And I was like, never. It just didn't occur to me that was possible. And so I was on the wait list, and the wait list was long at the Actors Studio. But as soon as I got to LA, I did audition, and I got sent to finals on my very first audition. So I did get into the Actors Studio, and I've been a member there for over 20 years, and it's been one of the greatest parts of my career and one of the greatest assets in my life, because that's like my family, and I have incredible mentors there. And through the many challenges of our industry and fighting our industry to include people with physical challenges, I walk with a limp, and it wasn't very welcome when I got to LA, and I had to speak up and shout out and show up and talk about it a lot in order to get people to start opening up their minds and letting people like me in the doors. And it was quite a battle, and in the early years, very hard. And I'm so grateful for the Actors Studio, because while our industry was rejecting me on a daily basis, the studio was welcoming me and supporting my work and always giving me the most challenging roles to play. And, it's a lot easier to stay in the game when you have Academy Award winners and Emmy winners telling you that your work is at the top of the industry and telling you not to quit. And I'm so grateful to all of them. It moves me to think of, even now, like, I have some of the best mentors in the industry, and we've lost some of them. When I think about the many members of the studio that have passed away since I've been there, and the impact each and every one of them had on my life and my skill, my craft, my career, I'm so grateful. And a couple of my best mentors are still alive, and I talk to them regularly. They check in on my work. They watch all my stuff. They'll call me and comment on it. They'll read my scripts. They'll watch my films. And I'm just so incredibly in debt to the Actors Studio and the community and family there who welcomed me in this industry in the years when our industry just couldn't.
That's great. Who are some of your greatest mentors and the people who've inspired you Eileen?
Oh, well, there are many. Let's go with the ones first that are still alive. So Barbara Bain is very close to my heart. She is one of my favorite people on the planet. She is also she is the first woman to win 3 consecutive Emmys. Um, she was a game changer in the TV world, one of the first women to portray strong women on television. And she's still a mentor and a very close friend. She feels like family to me. She's worked on some of my projects that I've created, and every time I've brought her a project, she's like, yes, and she's very involved, and I just love her, and I'm encouraged by her and inspired by her. And given the fact that my own mother passed away, it'll be 30 years this year, I think. 30 years this year. 30 years ago, I lost my mom. And so I've always been drawn to older people, I think. And Barbara Bain has just, shown me the way, a path for me, and also taught me how to stand up for myself in this business, how to speak up about things, because as a younger woman, back then you can kind of take the hits when they come and not say anything. And, I learned a lot about speaking up because of Barbara Bain. And so that's number one. Number two, Alan Miller. He's 92 this year. He's one of the greatest coaches and mentors I've ever had. He coached Meryl Streep and Barbara Streisand with his babysitter many years ago when she started to go from music and into movies, and he coached her right into that stuff. And he's coached some of the greatest people in our industry, and he's been my mentor and coach and acting teacher for over 20 years now. And I'm super grateful to both of them. And incidentally, their names are Barbara and Alan, and my parents' names were Barbara and Alan. So I kind of feel like they were sent from somewhere else. I feel like they were a gift from above. So that's two. Martin Landau was an incredible mentor to me as well, and a great encouragement. And we were really sad when we lost him. And Carmen Argenziano was a huge part of my life for 14 years. And I love that man. And I'm so sad we lost him also in 2019. And that was a big chunk of my heart that went with him. And so
You have you have some fantastic, wonderful people that really help you out. They really totally lift you up and help you support you. I remember a quote, Martin Landau, I read, apparently he said that with your challenges and your persistence and your talent, you have the potential to be one of the greatest actresses of all time. And he says, and you know how to use it. And he says that you're a volcano, and you certainly know how to use it, quote unquote. That's what Martin
He said that. He told me I'm sitting on a volcano. He said it's exciting to watch, and that's true. I am sitting on a volcano. Life will do that to you. And and the other quote that you said was something that he said to me at such a critical time for me. I was really up against an enormous amount of challenges, life challenges, and this industry keeping me out of work and losing my health insurance while going through some crazy critical stuff like cancer and things where I needed to work and make my health insurance, and a lot of hard things happening all at once. And at the time, I had just come through a couple of brutal surgeries, and I was working on a piece at the studio that was about loss, and putting it into the work. And that was when Martin took me to the front seats of the actor studio where the icons seats are, where their names are engraved on the seats. And he took me by the hands and sat me there and said, I want you to know, because of your life experience and your ability to use it, you have the potential to be one of the greatest actresses of our time. And it overwhelmed me. And I said, oh, Martin, thank you so much. And he said, no. I'm not telling you this to make you feel good. I'm telling you this so that you never give up. Do not let them stop you. Do not let them stop you. It's like he knew what was going on. He knew there was so much on my shoulders at the time. And he needed to say it. And I'm so glad he did at that time, because incidentally, I had been working on a free project at the time that I was helping get produced, a free project that I was helping to build and work on. And the writer of that project, she actually came to me, I'm not kidding you, like the day before, and said she didn't want me working on her project because she thought my life experience was ruining my work. And the next day I have this Academy Award winner saying the exact opposite. He's saying, because of your life experience and your ability to use it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with the Academy Award winner. I'm going to listen to him, because the other person who said it had never gotten anything done ever in all her years. And she was just being cruel, really. I had never been face to face with somebody being that discriminating right to your face. Usually they do it behind your back, but to literally blame it on my medical challenges, and it wasn't even a paid project. So it's just interesting the way life works and the way you get the support you need when you need it most. And I will never forget that day with Martin Landau at the
That's
Actors
spectacular.
Studio.
That's really something.
Yeah.
Right. He meant it. He meant it. He meant
Yeah,
his
he meant
Academy
it.
Award winner. He
And
really meant it. So that's
yeah, and the volcano comment he made in front of the whole studio in prior years, about sitting on a volcano and knowing how to use it, and that it was exciting to watch. And yeah, the Actors Studio is
really something.
just home
Yeah, it
and
is.
family to me. Yeah, they've kept me going. They've
is
kept me
great. That
going,
really is
because this
great.
has been a long, hard battle to get to a working place in this industry.
You have so many. I've read you had about 94 credits out there on TV. You've done so many different things to be a CSI Miami, Nip and Tuck. Let's see, I think Amsterdam. You've done just so
Amsterdam.
many. It goes on and on. It's hard to remember so many of them. Yeah, tell me about some of these. Your favorite roles. What you played in some of these great roles. Describe them.
Oh, okay.
Any favorites
Well,
that you have? Or
I tell everyone about New Amsterdam because, that was the first time I had, first of all, it was the first time that a medical series, okay, 29 years into being in the industry, New Amsterdam was the first medical series to let me even audition for a real role on a medical series, which is fascinating to me since I've spent my entire life in hospitals. I couldn't believe that with discrimination in this town, they were even going to keep me out of medical shows. You could win Emmys when you give somebody like me roles on medical shows, and we did get to be in the running for an Emmy for the or at least in consideration for the New Amsterdam one. So, and it was a small role, but that character, I played someone who has spinal cord injury caused by the medical industry, cancer survivor, facing another daunting surgery, and she's upset about it. Well, that's my life. That's my life squished into, one episode of television. So it was a powerful role for me to play. The fact that I got to audition for it and get in that door was incredible to me. And I couldn't wait to meet the person who wrote that role, because I thought, when I first read it, I thought, who knew me and wrote this? It was too close to home. And Sean Cassidy wrote it. Sean Cassidy.
Really? Oh, Sean Cassidy.
Sean Cassidy.
That's right. Sean Cassidy. That's right. I read about that. Sean Cassidy wanted you on this. Apparently, he wanted you on the set. He said he'd take a picture with you, I think, on the set. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I told him when I met him, first of all, talked about the role, and I was so blown away that he wrote it. But also, I told him that my sister had the biggest crush on him when we were little girls. And he said to me, "Oh, that's so wonderful." He said, "Let's take a picture for her before we go." And I said, "Okay, great." And I'm not one who usually will ask people to take pictures when I'm working, because it's just sort of kind of frowned on, and I don't like to bother people with that stuff. But I try not to. But so I didn't say anything, but at the end of the day, when we were leaving, he said, hey, let's get that picture for your sister. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. So we did. And
Wow.
she was thrilled.
That's
And
awesome. That's really exciting and awesome. That's really
yeah,
congratulations on that. Boy,
yeah.
that must have been something. That must have been something. Yeah.
The whole event was
Better be
really
surprised and
incredible. What?
I said it's
What?
better be surprised and disappointed. What a nice surprise that was. And that was
Yeah,
so
it was
nice of Sean Cassidy
so
considerate to do
nice.
that
And it
for
was
you.
such a
Yeah.
beautiful experience. It truly was a magical week. And I got to go back to New York City and work, and it was just everything about it was perfection. And, you know, New Amsterdam is the first medical series that is consistently hiring people with real disabilities playing those same disabilities. So if there's a blind person on the show, their casting director, David Caparelli-Otis, finds a blind actor. And if there's a little person or if there's a Down syndrome, they don't mimic disability. They hire the real deal, deaf, everything. So I have enormous respect for the producers of New Amsterdam and the NBC network, which incidentally, I always tell everybody, NBC has been my network since I first started. It was the first major network to ever hire me. And the biggest roles, and CBS hires me a lot. So I love both of those networks. But I am just so grateful to NBC for putting on a show like this, and also encouraging them to hire authentically and let people be seen in an authentic light. Because I think part of the problem we've had in society for so many years is that we never get to see authentic portrayals of disability, which is probably why we have so many stereotypes that are frightening to people. And so it has taken a massive effort. I mean, I'm in the industry nearly 30 years, and we're just starting to see it happen. You know, we've been battling it out for many, many, many years, and we're just starting to see inclusion happen for this community that represents 20% of our population.
Well, that's what it sounds like you stand up for now. How did you were so successful in standing up, not only in being a success as an actress, but you also stand up for people who are disabled, I guess, in many different areas. It's speaking, I guess, and writing, and tell me about all that, and even directing. Tell me about the different things that you have done. What's
Well,
your
I've always been interested in writing because I've had a heck of a interesting life. It's, you know, I've told you 1/100th of all the challenges and things. I've told you a very small amount of them. And, you know, honestly, I've had so many people asking me to write books, and literally it's overwhelming to me to even think of how to put all this into one book, or you'd need 10 books or 10 movies to put it all down. And so I take little segments of it and I put it into stories. And I like to write for people I know. So I've been watching the most brilliant actors at the Actors Studio for over 20 years. I write for the ones that I know are so gifted and so interesting to watch and fun to work with, easy to work with. So I write roles for them, and I write women that I want to play. So therefore, because of my life experience, the women that I write are usually pretty fierce, and they're fighters, and they overcome things because that's what I know. So you write what you know. And so I've had some really great success with my projects. I started making films many years ago. I've shot little pilots and things, and it's hard to get them out and get them sold, but I started making a lot of films for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge also. And right now, outside of the challenges and stuff, we made a couple of short films where almost everyone working on them has some form of disability, almost everyone. And from prep to production to post, across the board. And one of them is Dead End Drive. And it was written by Tobias Forrest, who's been a friend for many years. We met through another friend, Danny Murphy, who I advocated with the most in my earlier years. And Tobias is a quadriplegic, and he wrote this script and he gave it to me and he said, "You want to do it?" And I said, "Let's do it." And that film is up for 8 awards at Idlewild this weekend. The awards ceremony's tomorrow. It's won awards literally all over the world, and people love it. It's a short comedy horror with a twist.
Excuse me, what's it called again?
It's called Dead End Drive.
Oh, Dead End Drive.
Dead End Drive. And it's just fun. It's a fun little horror. He likes to call it a zombie movie without zombies. And that's what it is. And then the other one is called Dark Hearts, and that one is also up for 8 awards at Idlewild. It's also getting into almost every festival we submit it to, and up for all kinds of awards. Won Best Actress awards for both of them now, and a lot of awards pending. And so I know that the general public is ready for us and welcoming. And now we just need the decision makers in the entertainment industry to start funding our projects. We need the decision makers at Netflix and Amazon and Apple to start letting in people who write and create like me, who produce projects, and get them funded so we can actually get them out into the world and make a bigger difference.
That's spectacular. That's really amazing. Congratulations on that too. You're getting all these awards because you're putting your passion and your drive and your tenacity, and based upon your experiences and love of what you're doing, over 100% into what you're doing. Like the song Jefferson Starship said, "Nothing's going to stop us now." Remember that song?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There is nothing that will stop us now. We have climbed every mountain and fought really, really hard. And I actually was trying to add it up because, I put a brace on my leg and I hike mountains, and I do it almost every day, but not every day. But I'm trying to rebuild from my last couple of surgeries, and I'm working through the pain and the balance issues and all that, just trying to get stronger. And I was adding up 29 years in the industry, plus at least 10 hours a day, sometimes 15 or 20 hours a day, almost always 7 days a week for nearly 30 years. If you added up the hours I put into trying to make this career happen and trying to sell projects and write screenplays and learn my craft, the hours, they always say it takes 10,000 hours to succeed. I'm at least over 110,000 hours when you add it all up. And to me, it's like, that's a sad statement on inclusion in our industry, because I literally have worked harder than anyone I've ever known throughout all these years, and consistently, and I still do. Even just 2 nights ago, I stayed up till almost 7 a.m. working on the writing, and then I got to get up and do the auditions and keep in shape and learn lines and tape things and find jobs and look for the next thing and giving notes on someone else's screenplay. It's endless work. It's endless work. And so, yes, what you said, nothing can stop us now, that literally the train has left the station, the rocket is taking off, and it's time. It's time. And I know that it's a matter of the right person getting their hands on one of our projects, and we are ready. I have over 20 projects of my own, and then I've been gathering projects from the best of the writers who have disabilities and who have presented projects to me, and we have such a massive pool of projects ready to go in the disabled community. We just need the funding. We need the big companies to step up and put their money where their mouth is about diversity and inclusion.
Go, 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 go. Eileen, that's all I can say. You're phenomenal. What is a typical day now on the set? When you're doing acting, and what is your favorite of all these? I mean, you're great at everything you're doing. I don't know if it's acting or is it producing or directing or writing or even standing up besides for yourself for people, speaking for people, that are disabled. And your roles are so great. I mean, I know you play the role, but sometimes when I see these, it doesn't even look like someone. It's so natural. It doesn't look like anybody disabled. The way you're able to play these roles, it's just amazing.
Well, I've recovered probably 92% from my spinal cord injury. I still have a lot of the same challenges as a spinal cord injury survivor, but I walk. I have a little bit of a sway because I have a spinal cord injury. I've had my leg rebuilt many times. I still deal with that, but my walk, I can show it or hide it. I'm lucky in the sense that I can play roles that aren't disabled, but I also have the life experience to play the roles that are, and definitely the life experience to play them authentically. And I forgot what your question was. Sorry.
Oh, I was asking you about a typical day on the set
Typical
involving
day on
acting.
the set.
What are your favorite, and what your favorite as far as, I mean, you excel in everything, but is it acting your favorite or is it producing or
Acting is my passion. That's my dream. It's what I've put the most work into and trained 60 hours a week for so many years over there at the studio with 10 projects at once. That's my primary passion. However, I have so many stories I want to tell and important screenplays I'm writing and ones that are ready, and they're intense dramas, and I've got comedies. I've got comedy pilots for television series. I've got limited series. I've got feature films that are critically important stories that need to be told. And I love writing. My dream is to get a series regular role on a show so that they are paying my bills so I can stop scrambling about paying bills. And then you have so much downtime on a set that I could be writing for one of my shows. I could be writing screenplays while I'm working on a series as an actor. That would be the dream, the double whammy. And I do intend to be producing, as long as I'm able to in this career. I'm going to keep going. And so I figure I got about 30 years of producing ahead of me and another 30 or 40 years of writing ahead of me. And I'm going to keep acting until the day I die. So I'm ready, I'm prepared, and I love the acting first and the writing second. Producing is something I do because I have to. I'd love to have some teams come together where I have a lot of people doing the work instead of me doing almost all of it myself. It's a lot of work. Producing these things is a lot of work. Even when you gather teams, the person in charge has a lot to handle. So I can't wait till the day that things are funded and everybody gets to do their job and it's not all just one person trying to move many, many mountains by herself.
do you prefer drama or comedy or science fiction or horror or what?
I drama is easy for me. That's easy. That's and due to my sleep. Comedy is a blast. I love comedy. I absolutely love silly comedy. I haven't gotten the opportunity to play much of that in my career, and but either one is fine with me. And I don't even mind whatever genre. It doesn't matter. I love them all, and I have fun with all of them.
You do. Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Now, I know you casted The Millionaire Matchmaker. I know that. How was that experience?
Yeah. Well, in my very early 30s, when I first was diagnosed with cancer, and I already told you my parents were already dead from cancer before this, and I had to find a way to pay for it. So I worked more in casting, and the casting that was paying the most at the time was reality TV. So I went into working for Renegade, and I worked on some huge shows, Miracle Workers, and I started with the good at it, and I'm fast and I used to run departments, and where it would normally take them a team of 8, I could get the same job done with 2 people and get right to it because I had the eye for it. So I did that for a lot of years to pay my bills. And one of the jobs I took was for a millionaire matchmaker. Yes.
I see.
So um, we'll leave that one alone. I don't love working in reality television. It just paid my medical bills. So what are you gonna do?
I see. You had some other movies too. There was ER. You did ER. You did Miami, CSI Miami. You did quite a few.
ER was the first and only medical show that ever hired me until New Amsterdam. But I didn't play a patient. I played a reporter standing in the rain talking about the weather storm coming through. I still remember the lines from that one, and it was like over 20 years ago. So I was a reporter standing still on that one. But
Okay.
and that was NBC as well. Yeah.
You did Nip and Tuck. You did that. Oh yeah, you did so many other things. Stumptown. I mean, it goes on and on. It's amazing. So many different roles. And see, some of these roles you really seem to get into it. That's what I was going to ask you. How do you get in? How do you get into the role and be able to master the lines and really get into whatever it is that you're doing?
Ah, that's the craft, my friend. That's 20 years in the actor's studio training and 29 years throughout my career training. And it's how do I explain it to people that aren't actors?
Right.
It's like you learn to play a piano, right? And when you're really good at it, anyone can hand you all that sheet music and you know what to do because you've learned how to play your instrument. And with acting, you are your instrument. And all of your life experience and all of your emotions and everything you've been through in life becomes the notes on your piano. And so when I have a role, I start by reading it and seeing where it hits me. And what would Eileen do with this in this situation? So I find where I'm similar to the character and I find where I'm different from the character. And I try to bring as much of me into it while becoming this character, because I've played some crazy roles, and played characters that never in my lifetime would I be that person. For example, in the early years, one of the only ways I was able to get working was by playing like crackheads and drug addicts. And I've never done a drug in my life outside of a hospital. None, zero, nothing. It's just not a thing. And I won't even take the drugs they give me in the hospital when I leave the hospital. Like I won't even take painkillers. And I've had more rebuilds on my bones than almost anyone I know, with the exception of a few of my close friends who've trumped me by a landslide. But I don't take drugs. And yet I've played more crackhead and drunken crazy roles because in my earlier years it was how they could justify a girl with a limp, so that's how that happened. And fortunately, as the years go on and things are expanding, I'm starting to get to play all kinds of fun roles. But I love those roles and I loved playing them. I just couldn't understand why when I was younger I couldn't play more of the, why couldn't I be the girl next door or this girl or that girl? Why was I always the crackhead when I never did a drug in my life? But what I did do for digging into those roles was explore where I had some similar life experience, and where I did have some similar life experience, me and a drug addict, was when I was in hospitals on morphine. So I knew somewhat had some idea of what those drugs do to you and what they do to your brain. And that's what I use for my early crackhead roles. Interestingly enough, one of them, it was for a movie called True Rights. And I wasn't able to go to the audition because I had a trip out of town. So even before all our cameras and things, when you had literal digital tapes, I tape recorded the audition and sent it in. And I was playing this raging crackhead and sent them the little digital tape. And I booked the job off of that. and I really went for it. I look and everything with everything. I looked like a crackhead, and I booked it. And then when I went to pick up my script, I came bouncing in there like I am, with my makeup on and my smile and all that, and I, dressed like I dress. And they were like, I said I came to pick up my script, and the producers were like, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Eileen Grubba," and they were like, I was like, the crackhead character. And they were like, what? They were shocked because I do morph into my characters. I've had premieres of films where people watch an entire film where I had a major character and come up to me after, and they're like, "Wait, you were in the film?" Because they didn't know, because I really do morph into my characters. I work hard at that. And I've actually done plays where I played multiple characters, and people in the audience didn't know I was the multiple characters. They thought they were seeing different actors. So that's kind of fun.
So you say you're morph, you mean, when you say morph, you mean you get into it and you act like you really are that character, even if you're not. Is that
Absolutely. I become a different character for every role I play.
You're a character, all right. That's you are.
Yeah.
When you're created, the mold was broken for the good, though, for the good. That's really good. No, that's excellent. It really, you're so interesting and inspiring, Eileen. You really are.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are definitely a trailblazer, is what you are for people who are downtrodden. Because nobody likes rejection. The way you're able to handle rejection and turn it from your scars into stars is just spectacular. It really is.
Thank you very much. It's been quite a battle, and it's fuel for the writing, for the work, for the characters. It's fuel. I keep trying to tell that to kids, that when I talk to kids about bullying and standing up to bullies, and I was like, you got to think of it as rocket fuel. Don't be afraid to get mad. Get mad. I get mad all the time, but you know what? I'm always inside grateful when I get mad, because I know that when I get mad, I'm gonna win. I also know that when I get mad, it means my spirit's still fighting and I'm not going down. I think the worst place to be and to stay is in sadness. And, everybody has those days, ups and downs and sad days. And as Carmen Argenziano, one of my closest people, my mentor who passed away, used to say, he's like, it's okay to have a bad day, just don't move in and furnish it. And I think in our world today, so many people move in and furnish it, and they forget to keep fighting. And I'm the one, when I know them, going, get up and fight, you can do this, come on, don't give up that easy. And you've got to fight for what you want in this lifetime. And anything, I know it's cliche and everybody hears it, but anything worth having is not fun unless you fought for it. If something's just handed to you, you just don't appreciate it. You just don't. And when you fought hard and you've worked for something and you've earned it, that's when the true self-satisfaction kicks in, and you can go to bed at night, lay your head down and say, this was a good day. I worked with everything I had in me, that, and go to sleep exhausted every night, because I feel good knowing I did everything I could with that day and every day. And that's what we have to do. So I hope that my message gets out there to enough people, and I hope that enough people.
It's very exciting, very interesting. No, what the mind can believe, the mind can achieve. And quitters never win, and winners never quit. And life is like a box of chocolates. You never quite know what you're going to get. You remember Tom Hanks?
That's so true. That's true.
Right. So if you had to do it over again now, is there anything differently you would do? Or are you really happy?
If I had to do life all over again?
Right.
Is that what you're asking? My whole life? Yeah, there are a lot of things I would have changed. I don't know how we would have gotten out of it, but as a 5-year-old, I would have never had vaccines for school, because that caused the paralysis and the things that nearly killed me, and probably caused the cancer that started in early 30s. So that's number one. But if I hadn't been able to avoid that one, the next thing is I would have never had a surgery. Not one. Not to rebuild my legs. No. I've learned so much since then about rebuilding and rehabilitating the body and preventing things. Even we have a genetic cancer syndrome in our family, and it's a tough one, but I figured out how to prevent that, you know, so I wish I'd never had any surgeries. I would have changed that. And given the battle that this industry has been for me, you know, when I think on it enough and where I could have been if people would have gotten out of my way, if people hadn't discriminated so often, where I could have gone as opposed to where I am now, how much easier life could have been. The big change I would have made is that I would have stayed in New York a lot longer, because as tough as New York is, people were more open to me there. And I would have stayed there longer. But the big change is that I literally would have put probably 98% of my energy into writing and producing, and just gave myself roles in films I produced. That's what I would have done. But I put so much of my time and energy into the acting and learning how to do it, the craft. And I felt like, geez, with all the work I put in, I could have been running a studio by now, and then I'd greenlight whatever films I want. But I suppose everything for a reason. And at least now I have that craft, and, you know, I'm still alive and kicking. I'm still, you know, at the top of my game, and not as young as I used to be, but I still have enough years left in me that I think now I can do those things. Now I can produce those projects and put myself in them, and I got the craft to back it up. So maybe it'll all work out.
That is great. And you won many awards too, I guess, in magazines I've read, and all kinds of publications. Tell me about those, and the film festivals that you've had so many. Tell me the different ones that are.
Well, I will say that I put 200% of my life force into everything I do. Like, everything I do, I care about, or I wouldn't do it. So I put everything into every role. I put everything into every project. And because of that, a lot of good things have come my way. I don't have a publicist, believe that or not. I've managed to get on the covers of multiple magazines and in 3 books last year, and so many interviews I can't even keep up. I literally can't even keep up. I've started turning them down now, and all that because I've put my passion into my work, and I've met wonderful people who see the work that I'm doing. And I started a page about, I can't remember how many years now, but at least 10 years ago on Facebook called Trained Actors with Real Disabilities. And I did that to answer the industry, because they were always saying, well, we don't have any trained actors with real disabilities. And I was like, yes, we do. And here they are. And let me just name the page so it's very clear. We're trained actors with real disabilities. Here we are. And that grew and grew and grew. And it's become a go-to source for the industry too, when they're looking for people with disabilities now. But a guy named Vince Dayskull, who I met through the years as an advocate outside of our industry, he started taking over the page for me because I was working and I couldn't keep up with it all. I was working, going through surgeries, all these things, trying to keep afloat. And Vince started doing the page for me. And he's the one that he knew this wonderful woman named Dr. Shelley Hipsky, who was starting the magazine, Inspiring Lives magazine. And he told her she needs to meet me. And then we met, and then she put me on their first national cover of their magazine, Inspiring Lives magazine. And that was in the middle of the year of the leg rebuilds. So it was such a great gift, because that year I was very concerned about how am I going to stay relevant or keep my career moving when I can't walk, because the first rebuild in 2016 didn't work. We had to redo it again. I ended up having to have back-to-back surgeries, losing my health insurance. But in the midst of all that, I ended up on that magazine, which went out all over the world. And this was only 1 year after having been on the cover of Ability magazine, which was, again, another accident. It wasn't publicists or anything like that pulling strings. It was just people hearing about my story, interviewing me, and they interviewed me coming out of major surgery too, and put me on the cover of their magazine. I had no idea. I thought they were just doing a regular interview, and then I was on the cover of the magazine, and I was like, wow. So I guess if you just keep doing your work and you just do your best everywhere you go, then eventually some nice things happen, you know? So
That's
it's
great.
surprising that most people go about it the other way in our industry. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of support, they hire publicists, the publicists make it happen. I've had the opposite, you know, been kind of on my own in this battle. I have an agent who I've had for a lot of years, and he's with a small agency, and it's just been us, you know. I don't have a team. I don't have the whole empire fighting for me like so many known actresses do, but I think we've accomplished a lot in spite of the fact that we haven't had the same support that a lot of people have.
Yes, you've definitely accomplished quite a bit. You are really, you're a warrior princess inspiration. Like I said, I can't say it enough, but you're definitely a trailblazer. Oh, you know, turn your scars into stars. I mean, it's just a big smile all the way around. You're not only do you have the smile, but you have the talent, you have the abilities, and you're doing it. You're living proof that
Thank
it
you.
can be done. It can be done, and it is being done. That's for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're certainly welcome. Trying to think now. So, do you have any advice for anybody that wants to wants to make it in the industry in entertainment and acting or any of these other things, producing, directing, writing, speaking, you know, anything?
Yeah, I would
Advice?
say I have a lot of advice, but I wouldn't say it's advice people want to hear, but
Oh,
I'll give it anyway.
okay. Let's hear it.
The advice is, if you really want to be in this industry and you can't walk away and do something else and be happy, you absolutely can't walk away, and you really want to be in this industry, you need to be prepared to work your butt off for many, many years, starving many of those years, but you need to be prepared to give it everything you've got, and you need to be prepared to work harder than you've ever worked, consistently, 7 days a week, year after year,
Oh,
making sacrifices most people would never make without a paycheck. And we do it all the time. We do it constantly. Even these films that are in the festivals right now, I will easily spend multiple nights up through the night doing all the submissions myself, you know, writing the letters to all of them. You don't get paid for any of that. This is hard work. This industry is hard work. And in my years at the Actors Studio, I'm not kidding that it was nothing for me to spend 40 to 60 hours in a week's time in rehearsals on that stage for the playwrights unit at night, for the multiple pieces I was working on at every given moment. I was the go-to person that Helen, who runs the office at the studio, knew that if there was a cancellation, she could call Eileen, because Eileen always had 5 projects ready to go with 5 different people, because I was always working. And every time there was a moment to get up there and work again on my craft, I did it. And so I share this with people because so many people come into our industry thinking it should be easy and that somebody should spot them at Starbucks and give them a job, or that they should just show up and some agent will get them their work. And, you know, 2 years in, they're crying that they worked so hard. And it's like, but you didn't work hard. You didn't train hard. You know, the best actors I know, they didn't train for 1 year or 2. They're training all their lives. Those mentors I told you about, Barbara Bain, Alan Miller. Alan Miller's 92. Barbara Bain is nearly 90. They are still at the Actors Studio, except for coronavirus, consistently. And even now, they're on Zoom, teaching classes, directing actors, constantly learning, constantly acting. You don't train for a year. You train your entire career. And, you know, we hear lots of nonsense about how the British actors are so much stronger, and it's not true. The reality is there are a good portion of them more trained than a good portion of the LA lazy actors, but there is a segment in LA, a lot of them at the Actors Studio, that are equally as well trained, if not even more well trained. But there's so much noise in this town, so much muddy water here because of all the untrained people jumping into the game, and they're keeping the rooms so overcrowded and people's minds so overwhelmed with their chaos, and they're not trained and they're not ready. And I feel like the reality is most people fail out of our industry within 2 years. That's a known fact. most people fail in 2 years. If you're a person who's going to put everything you got into it for 2 years and then go home, don't waste your 2 years. Just go home. Go do something else. This is a hard career, and you have to ask yourself if you're really willing to work like I have and put in 110,000 hours, not 10,000, 110,000 over this many years. That's what you have to ask yourself, because if you're doing less than every single day working on your craft for the majority of the day, you might not ever work in this industry. Some people will, because they'll get lucky. They've got people they're related to. They married the right agent or casting director. But the reality is most people are going to fail. And you have to ask yourself in advance, am I a fighter or am I a quitter? And if you're a quitter, go do something else. It's a hard business. And that's my advice, is to know how hard it is. Get your head in the game before you waste a few years of your life or 10. I know a lot of girls who've come out here and they gave it their best shot for 5 or 8 or 9 years. But then they left and went and did other things, and they wish they could get those years back.
Well, that's wise advice. I mean, it's coming from someone who you've lived it, you are doing it, and you're doing it because you truly. I'm sure it's both. It's a combination of tremendous strength and overcoming adversity and loving what you're doing. It's besides financial, of course. I mean, not just anyone can do that. I definitely salute you and applaud you for that. I really do.
Yeah, and the financial benefits of this business are a facade. Really, the only people these days actually making a living, 1%, less than 1% of the industry is making a living. That's something people need to understand as well. It's something like 1% of the Screen Actors Guild actually earns enough to make their health insurance every year. 1%.
1%.
So if only 1% is making over 20 grand a year, we got to look at that. You know, so only the stars are rich. Everybody else is not. It's a facade. So the stars and the producers that are on the top shows and movies, but nobody else is even making a living, you know? So that's the part, you know, maybe the people in the industry don't want me to tell people that, but I think it's important to tell people that before they give up their dreams of having a family or children, or, you know, I've met people who were going to split up their families and have the mother move out to LA with the kids so the kids could go into acting and leave the other half of the family home. And I'm like, don't do that. Raise your kids, you know, and do that life. You know, your kids can do acting wherever you live. They can do community theater and see how committed they actually are. But don't wreck your family and your whole world and move to LA. And the one good thing about the coronavirus is that the industry has spread out all over the world. And now everybody can tape and people can work wherever they are. So I think LA has seen its last days of being the throne of the entertainment industry. I think that it's now spreading out so much with Atlanta and New York and Louisiana and Arizona. And there are so many, Canada, there's so many places where the industry is spreading out. So, you know, I think I tell a lot of young actors now, don't come to LA. You don't need to be here. All you're going to do is stick yourself in the middle of a massive pool and you don't have any credits. You know, you should build credits where you are and build up where you are and only end up in LA when you have to. You know, when a project pulls you here, when you've got so many credits that you've overgrown Atlanta or New York, you know, there's no reason to put yourself here up against this massive pool out here anymore, like people used to have to do.
I see. Well, things are starting to pick up. You know, even with the virus, and I think better days are ahead. Any current projects right now? Any current projects you have, and any real exciting dream projects of the future that you really would love to do? Tell me about your current ones.
Yeah, there are a few. A producer who used to live here, who's now in Atlanta, accomplished producer, recently brought me a project that he wrote based on a true story, but one of the main characters he wrote specifically for me. And so we've been working on rewrites of the script for that. He has a big plan for this project. And so that's one. The two films that are in the festivals, we're still working on getting them out everywhere, but one of them, Dark Hearts, we have a plan to turn it into a limited series. And if you get to see the movie, the challenge on their plate is quite riveting, which is why it's getting the attention it's getting. And so we have a plan to make it a limited series. And if we don't accomplish that in a certain period of time, because we are writing it and we're getting it ready for a limited series, but if for some reason we can't get one of the Netflixes or somebody to pick it up, we're going to make the feature instead. So we have a 2-part plan. But then there's my dream project. And I'm not going to tell you much about it because I don't really want everybody out there trying to scramble on top of it, because it's a game changer project. It's a little piece of history, true story, that has broken my heart ever since I ever heard about it. And I've done years of research, and I've had to create the characters myself because all of them are dead.
Wow.
So I've had to imagine what they went through and imagine how it unfolded with the bits of history that I can gather. That one's my dream project. It's a period piece. I actually wrote years ago when I created it, which is 2016 was when I started. And it's a very important story that needs to be told. And I actually created the lead character for Laura Dern, who I worked for years. And now she's got an Academy Award. And but I wrote this main character for her, and I'm wrapping up a lot on it now. It's been a bear of a project to write because it breaks my heart. It truly breaks my heart. And every time I write, I am an emotional mess on it. But that's how important this story is and how it needs to be told. And so that one is my dream project. And
Is that
even if
feature film, is that going to be a feature film, or what is it going to?
it's a feature film and it's a period piece, so it'll take some money. I'm hoping that I can get an HBO or Netflix to fund it so that we can have the money to really do it well. But I also know, even if Laura doesn't end up doing it, which I can't put that on her, of course, but even if she doesn't, I know that some A-list actress will die for that role, because it is a role. Like, I would kill for it, but obviously it's not going to get made if I'm in the lead. So I've got to put somebody with a much bigger name in the lead role. And it's got 2 major women characters. It's got a lot of women, but these 2 women are something else. And so I'll play one of them and somebody else will play the bigger role. And I kind of dream it'll be Laura Dern. But if she can't do it and then that doesn't work out, somebody's going to grab that role. It's going to be their Sophie's Choice. It's going to be there.
Will is a way. I believe you're going to do it. I truly believe you're going to do it, because you do it. You don't just talk about it.
Oh, I do it.
If it costs people money to talk, they keep their mouth shut. Add up to millions of dollars. Talk is cheap and free. You're a doer. You're not just
I'm a doer.
talking.
No, I'm a doer.
Like I've said it before, and again, I'll say it again. You're a warrior princess, trailblazer. You have so much tenacity and so much passion. It's just spectacular, and you're so inspiring. And it really is phenomenal. Now, how can people find out more about you, Eileen Grubba? And you have had and continue to have a most fascinating, exciting, spectacular, and successful life in entertainment. That's for sure.
Thank you. They can find. I have a website. That's my name, eileengrubba.com. It has a lot of content that we keep updating. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook. I have a professional page on Facebook. I try to tell people don't bother with the personal page because it's full and I can't take any more friend requests. It's full. So there's a professional page, the one with the little blue check. And all our films are on Facebook. They all have their own Facebook pages, Dark Hearts, Dead End Drive. But like, you can find me by my name on all the major platforms. And I share my stuff. I have started to ask people to please don't be reaching out to me with requests, because I just literally, there aren't enough hours in the day anymore, and I can't I can't make everybody else's career happen. I'm really busy at breaking the ceiling for mine right now. I've put half of my life force through all these years into taking care of and mentoring and helping and building this community, advocating. And this year is my year. This year is for my breakthrough. And so I've started asking people to please don't contact me for requests, but please do get on there and follow and check out the work we're doing. And I can't produce anybody else's stuff right now. You can contact me if you want to hire me as an actor. But this girl's focus is on my projects now, and that's where I'm putting my energy when I'm not acting.
Eileen Grubba, it's a pleasure. It's an honor and privilege to interview you. It really is.
Thank you.
This is my 10th episode. I've enjoyed them all, but I find you so, like I said, exciting, interesting, inspiring, and just great all the way around. What can I say? Rah, rah, rah. I mean it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, and I have studied, and I've studied other interviews. You've had many interviews, and I've looked it over and done research, as I do when I prepare, for my wherever show I do. Everybody has their own unique story. Yours is definitely one of the most unique stories that I have ever heard, really. And so keep on going, marching forward, keep blazing trails and smiling and being passionate and being tenacious and being great and being yourself and lifting yourself up, and all the other people, of course, all the people that, they have problems themselves, advocating for them. Because
that's another reason why I'm fighting so hard to get my projects through, because when I'm the one in charge, there's a lot of people that are going to get breaks that should have gotten them a long time ago. I write for people that I know, and I have written some incredible characters for people I know. And so it's another reason why I have to this year be really focused on breaking through with these projects, because I intend to hire a lot of great people. That's something that matters to me.
Right. Bob Proctor used to say, what the mind can believe, the mind can achieve. He's right.
Yeah.
Don't get over and say, I wanted to have, be, and do all those things, and I never do it. Do it while you can, while you're
we're still here.
When I did a Shriners Hospital show that time, I said that to the children, and I said, you can do it. You're great. You're number one. Don't let anyone else tell you cannot do it. You're a winner. Win and win big.
Yep.
That's what I did.
Agree.
Yeah, it was a
I
children.
agree with you.
Right. That's in one of my videos of different things that I have on my entertainment website, which is, my entertainment website is johnnyblaze.com.
I've seen it.
Have you seen it?
I have.
Okay, great.
I
And if
have.
you get a chance, as busy as you are, I don't know if you're so busy, you probably haven't had a chance. If you ever get a chance, take a look at my documentary on Amazon.
That I didn't see, but I did watch your recent interview with Eric Pasoja, and I watched half of your interview with Ellen. Ellen I know from the Actors Studio as well, Ellen Gerstein.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellen was very interesting also. Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed all those. And my last interview was with Sal Ferraro, who's the very first owner and creator of the first karaoke bar in America, named after Shirley Temple, Dimples. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Dimples. I've sang at Dimples before.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
I have.
That's great.
Who hasn't in LA, right? That's the karaoke.
Dimples was as a favorite place. That's where I met Jimmy Kimmel, who put me on his show, on his feature star talent showcase that time. That's the last
nice.
Yeah, 2003. That's correct. Anyway, check out my movie when you get a chance on Amazon. It's called Gong, G-O-N-G, but not forgotten. The original Johnny Blaze show. Story, excuse me.
On Amazon.
Yeah, Gong, but not forgotten. The original Johnny Blaze story is what it is. It's called, yeah, right. My show was the amazing original Johnny Blaze show. Right, that's on Amazon.
Is it on Amazon Prime, or you mean on Amazon where?
It's on Amazon Prime. Oh yeah, check it out. Former Gong Show winner, which I am, and Elvis impersonator, which I am, strives to host your own late night talk show. His own late night talk show. My co-star played Mr. Belding, the principal, in Saved by the Bell, if you've ever heard of that series. Dennis Haskins.
Okay, I remember Saved by the Bell.
And True Don Blue is in it, host of the Gong Show, and Joey Carbone, who played the music and orchestra in the Gong Show. Yeah, so check that out when you get a chance.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll like it. Eileen, like I say, once again, it's a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. The time has gone very fast. and keep doing what you're doing. Don't let
Thank you.
anything interfere. Go forward. Keep succeeding. Keep being inspiring and blazing and exciting, and doing what you do and motivating other people,
Thank you.
of course.
Thank you
So
very much.
I want to thank you, Eileen Grubba, so much for being my special guest here today. It's been so much a pleasure, and
you.
I want to special guest. And till next time, ladies and gentlemen, always keep a smile on your face and a song in your heart. Happy trails and blaze out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Blaze has just left the building. Good night and God bless. Anybody who wishes to be on an entertainment Zoom show, please email us at amazingoriginal.jbshow@gmail.com and be free to ask for a complimentary DVD of the show.